It was the eve of Thanksgiving, and the small town of Hollowbrook was bathed in the warm glow of streetlights lining its quiet streets. Families were preparing for the joyous occasion, their homes filled with the savory aroma of roasting turkey and the laughter of loved ones reuniting. However, Nolan, a reserved man with a mysterious past, felt an unsettling chill in the air. Nolan, a newcomer to Hollowbrook, had recently moved to the town seeking solace and a fresh start. His troubled history weighed heavily on him, but he hoped this Thanksgiving would mark the beginning of a new chapter in his life. As Nolan strolled through the picturesque town square, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Glancing over his shoulder, he caught fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures lurking in the corners. Dismissing it as paranoia, he continued toward the community center where the Thanksgiving feast was set to take place. The center was adorned with festive decorations, and the aroma of cinnamon and cloves filled the air. Nolan hesitated at the entrance, feeling an inexplicable sense of foreboding. He noticed an old photograph on the wall, a group of people smiling at a Thanksgiving dinner table. Among them was a figure that sent a shiver down his spine, a face he thought he had left behind in his troubled past. Unnerved, Nolan pushed the unsettling image from his mind and joined the lively crowd. The warmth of the room contrasted with the chill that seemed to linger in his bones. As the night unfolded, he couldn't escape the feeling that something ominous loomed just beyond the festivities. Later that evening, as Nolan walked home under the dim glow of streetlights, he heard whispers in the shadows. The voices were hushed but menacing, speaking of secrets buried and debts unpaid. Unease settled in Nolan's chest as he quickened his pace, the shadows seemingly closing in around him. Little did he know, the town of Hollowbrook harbored a dark history, and this Thanksgiving held more than just the promise of a new beginning. The following day, Thanksgiving arrived, and the town was buzzing with excitement. Nolan tried to shake off the unease from the night before as he joined the festive parade, but his eyes constantly darted to the shadows, where he swore he saw the ghostly figure from the old photograph. As the town gathered for the grand Thanksgiving feast, Nolan's anxiety reached its peak. The whispers persisted, and he noticed townsfolk exchanging furtive glances. The air was thick with tension, and Nolan couldn't ignore the feeling that the shadows were closing in on him. During the feast, Nolan was approached by an elderly woman, her eyes filled with a mix of sympathy and fear. She spoke in hushed tones, revealing a hidden truth about the town's past. Decades ago, a tragedy had befallen Hollowbrook, leaving behind unresolved secrets and a debt that demanded payment. Nolan, it seemed, was intricately tied to this dark history. The ghostly figure from the photograph was a specter of his past, a past he thought he could escape by moving to Hollowbrook. The debt he owed, however, had followed him, casting a long shadow over the town's Thanksgiving celebration. As night fell, the atmosphere grew more ominous. The townspeople, once jovial, now moved with a sense of urgency. Nolan found himself at the center of a mystery, entangled in the threads of a dark legacy that demanded resolution. With each passing moment, the shadows deepened, and Hollowbrook's Thanksgiving became a haunting tale of secrets unveiled. The debt, once concealed, now sought redemption, and Nolan was forced to confront the ghosts of his past amidst a town gripped by fear. Nolan, compelled by a mix of dread and determination, delved into the town's history. He uncovered a tale of betrayal, a web of lies woven through generations. The debt, it seemed, was not only his but a burden shared by the entire community, shackled to the sins of the past. As Nolan unearthed the truth, the shadows that haunted him manifested in the form of apparitions, specters of those who had suffered in silence. The townspeople, once bound by a collective silence, were now confronted by the ghosts of their shared history. The night grew colder, and the once lively Thanksgiving feast turned into a solemn gathering. Nolan, guided by an unseen force, led the townspeople to the heart of the mystery, a neglected cemetery where the shadows whispered the names of those long gone. In the dim moonlight, Nolan stood before a weathered gravestone, engraved with the name of the ghostly figure from the photograph. The revelation hit him like a wave, and the weight of the debt became palpable. The shadows, no longer confined to the periphery, closed in around him. The elderly woman who had shared the town's secrets revealed herself to be the daughter of the figure in the photograph, burdened by the sins of her father. Nolan, realizing the interconnectedness of their fates, vowed to set things right. Together, the townspeople and Nolan performed a ritual of remembrance, acknowledging the pain of the past and seeking forgiveness. As they spoke the names of the departed, a cathartic energy filled the air. The shadows, once menacing, began to recede, their grip on the town slowly loosening. In the aftermath of this spectral revelation, Hollowbrook was forever changed. The townspeople, freed from the shackles of secrecy, embraced a new sense of unity. Nolan, once an outsider, became a catalyst for redemption, his journey mirroring the town's collective effort to face the shadows that had long haunted them. The Thanksgiving that began with an unsettling chill ended with a warmth that transcended the traditional festivities. The debt, though not forgotten, became a shared burden, and the shadows that once loomed large were replaced by the healing light of truth and reconciliation. As Nolan walked through the now serene town square, he felt a sense of closure. The ghosts of his past, along with the town's, had been laid to rest. Thanksgiving in Hollowbrook, once marred by a hidden darkness, had become a celebration of renewal and forgiveness. And so, with the shadows dissipated, Nolan and the townspeople embraced a new dawn. A Thanksgiving marked not by fear, but by the enduring spirit of redemption and the power of confronting the shadows within. Lindsay's anticipation for Thanksgiving was overshadowed by an unexplainable sense of foreboding. As the crisp autumn air enveloped her quaint town, the usual warmth and joy associated with the holiday felt eerily absent. The weeks leading up to Thanksgiving were riddled with mysterious occurrences, setting the stage for a day Lindsay would never forget. In the heart of the small town, Lindsay resided in a charming Victorian-era house that had been in her family for generations. As she prepared for the holiday, the creaks and groans of the aging house seemed more pronounced, adding an unsettling undertone to the atmosphere. On the eve of Thanksgiving, Lindsay began experiencing vivid nightmares. Each night, she dreamt of a shadowy figure lurking in the corners of her home, a faceless silhouette that seemed to feed on the essence of her joy, leaving only a chilling emptiness in its wake. Undeterred, Lindsay tried to shake off the haunting dreams and focus on the upcoming celebration. She spent the day meticulously preparing a feast, hoping the warmth of family and the aroma of the traditional Thanksgiving dishes would dispel the lingering unease. As night fell, Lindsay's family gathered around the dinner table. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, and the room seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. The once joyous chatter of family members now felt strained, as if an unspoken tension lingered in the air. During the meal, Lindsay couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every glance towards the shadows revealed nothing, but the weight of an unseen presence persisted. As the night wore on, a distant howling wind outside seemed to echo the unease within the house. After the meal, as the family settled in the living room, Lindsay's younger brother, Tommy, mentioned a local legend. According to the tale, an ancient curse haunted certain families on Thanksgiving, drawing malevolent spirits to feed on the holiday spirit. Lindsay scoffed at the idea, dismissing it as a silly superstition. However, a shiver ran down her spine, and the unease deepened. As the clock struck midnight, a sudden power outage plunged the house into darkness. Panic and confusion set in as the family fumbled for flashlights and candles. In the shadows, Lindsay glimpsed the elusive figure from her nightmares, its presence now undeniably real. The darkness seemed to envelop Lindsay's home like a suffocating blanket. The flickering candlelight struggled against the encroaching shadows, revealing glimpses of the mysterious figure that haunted her dreams. Lindsay's family huddled together, their faces etched with fear and uncertainty. The atmosphere in the room thickened as an otherworldly chill settled in, making the air seem almost tangible. The howling wind outside grew more intense, its mournful wail intertwining with the creaks of the ancient house. In a desperate attempt to dispel the darkness, Lindsay suggested a séance. The mere mention of such a ritual elicited nervous glances from her family, but the urgency in Lindsay's eyes convinced them to try anything to restore normalcy. They gathered in a circle, hands clasped, and Lindsay, with a shaky voice, began to invoke the spirits. The air crackled with an energy that sent shivers down their spines. As the room grew colder, the shadows seemed to writhe with a life of their own. Suddenly, the candles extinguished, leaving the room in complete darkness. Panic set in, but amidst the black void, a haunting voice echoed. It was a guttural whisper that seemed to come from the very walls of the house, chilling the marrow in their bones. "Release me," the voice murmured, sending waves of dread through the family. Lindsay, though terrified, gathered her courage and asked, "Who are you? What do you want?" The voice responded with a tale of betrayal and anguish, recounting a history intertwined with Lindsay's family. It spoke of a long-forgotten ancestor who had committed a heinous act, invoking a curse that bound the spirits to the family on every Thanksgiving. As the voice faded, the room was plunged into an even deeper darkness. When the candles reignited, the sinister figure from Lindsay's dreams materialized before them. It bore the anguished expression of a tortured soul, its presence casting an oppressive weight on the room. The family, now faced with the reality of the supernatural, trembled in fear. Lindsay, driven by a newfound determination, implored the spirit for a way to break the curse. The spirit revealed a cryptic ritual that needed to be performed before the first light of dawn, or the curse would persist for another generation. With little time to spare, Lindsay and her family embarked on a harrowing journey through the haunted halls of their own home, guided by the spectral voice. As they unraveled the mysteries and faced long-buried secrets, they found themselves entangled in a race against time. As dawn approached, the air grew heavy with anticipation. The family stood in the dim light of the rising sun, having completed the ritual just in time. The malevolent spirit, its form dissipating like morning mist, uttered words of gratitude before fading away. The shadows that had haunted Lindsay's dreams and plagued her family for generations lifted, leaving behind a sense of relief and an inexplicable connection to the past. The once enchanted Thanksgiving morning now dawned with a newfound appreciation for the fragility of family bonds and the importance of confronting one's own history. As the first rays of sunlight bathed the old Victorian house, Lindsay and her family emerged, forever changed by the chilling events of that Thanksgiving night. The town, unaware of the supernatural struggles that had transpired, carried on with its usual festivities, but Lindsay couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows, though vanquished, had left an indelible mark on their lives. Lindsay and her family emerged from the ordeal with a deepened sense of unity. The Thanksgiving morning that followed, though tinged with the memories of the previous night's terror, held a unique significance. They gathered around the breakfast table, sharing glances that conveyed a silent understanding and appreciation for the unbreakable bond that had seen them through the darkest of hours. The town resumed its festive atmosphere, unaware of the supernatural forces that had unfolded within the walls of the old Victorian house. Lindsay, however, couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows, though banished, had left an indelible mark on their lives. The family decided to keep the events to themselves, shielding the town from the eerie tale that had unfolded in their midst. In the days that followed, as life returned to normalcy, Lindsay delved into the town's history, uncovering forgotten tales of betrayal, love, and tragedy. The chilling Thanksgiving night had unveiled long-buried secrets, connecting the present to a past steeped in mystique. As the years passed, Lindsay's appreciation for family and tradition deepened. Thanksgiving became a time not only for gratitude, but also for reflection on the fragility of the human spirit. The once haunted Victorian house stood as a silent witness to the resilience of the family that had faced the shadows and emerged stronger. Occasionally, Lindsay would catch a fleeting glimpse of a spectral figure in the corners of her vision, a distant echo of the malevolent spirit that had once tormented her dreams. But with the passing of time, the apparition seemed to be a mere specter of the past, a reminder of the darkness that had been conquered. As Lindsay gathered with her family each Thanksgiving, there was an unspoken acknowledgement of the supernatural chapter that had unfolded in their lives. The warmth of shared laughter and the aroma of a hearty feast filled the air, dispelling any lingering shadows. The Victorian house, though still holding echoes of its mysterious history, became a sanctuary of love and resilience. And so, the chilling Thanksgiving night became a story passed down through the generations, a cautionary tale that underscored the importance of facing one's demons and embracing the strength that comes from family ties.